I also love when a podcast's premise is very clear from its title. You
I
know,
like to keep it straightforward, right on the nose. Just chats over beers and a nice good time.
I was telling, yeah, like it's funny. It mirrors despite the irony of me wearing a Fall Out Boy shirt as I say this, but was having I'm a big hockey fan, as might come up in the conversation, and like I have this group chat that's like an overlap of like people with like Long Island punk roots and Islander fans, and
Mm.
we're like everybody in and we're talking about song titles recently, and we've talked about how like at this point like we're all in our 30s, like unless like the joke long title is good or the deep title is better than just saying a very memorable simple thing that this thing is, just go with the simple fucking thing. Go with the
Yeah,
direct thing, the understood fucking thing.
100%. Now, on the other hand, though, it is nice where every once in a while just to pepper one in randomly, just because everyone's kind of gone to just more on the nose titles. So that's like the one nice thing about like Hot Mulligan is like we just get these wacky titles, and I feel like they're filling that void a little bit.
There's a little too many of them though, because I love so many of their songs, but like guitarist Jacob, he's the young one in the band. He's the one that's in their 20s still. And he'll say, he'll mention a song title and I'll be like, you need to give me some lyrics here, man. I don't know which one you're talking about at all. Because
That's
all of them
fair.
are like the Undertaker. There's the Undertaker versus something one. The fuck it.
Yeah, they get pretty insane. I know my friends, their band. They have a song called "I'm Like Mankind in the Way That I Never Say I Quit" or something like that. It's a great
Beautiful.
title, but it's just like one of those that's like almost a little too long. So like anytime someone talks about it, they're just like, Mankind. Can you just play that song?"
Like a lot of things, you have to get past. Like I feel like once you get past a certain threshold where people are going to listen to you anyway, you can do whatever the hell you want title wise.
Yeah.
But like otherwise, it's good to while you're still trying to really get your name out there. It's good. It's not the worst thing to be have memorable song title.
That is true. Well, what I'll do here is I'll count us in, and then usually it's I'll count us in. We'll crack these beers. I'll do the little intro, bring you in, and we'll just have a good time.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Sick. All right. In I just pulled these out of the fridge. All right. In three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, I'm very stoked to welcome Career Day to the podcast. I'm sitting down with Desmond. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Coming in live from Queens, where Mets mania has taken over the borough. It's nice. The one year a decade where like there's pride in the Mets, and you really try to get the most out of it because it's going to be another decade before they have another run. So like people are really emptying the tank, so to speak. The bars are crazy. There's a lot of Grimace merchandise going on. It's a good time.
Now, I feel like I saw something about the Mets and Grimace. Like, fill me in and maybe fill in some people that might not be aware. Because, like, what's their connection to Grimace at this point?
So I my account is going to be imprecise because am I grew up a what's called a Jets Islander Met fan, but I at a young age was like I've got to pick one. I've got to pick one lane to care about year round because if I hold on to all these, it's going to be a rough go, you
That's
know?
fair. Yeah.
So for me like hockey was the main one, so I like the Islanders the one that I care about year round, but the Mets, I do, especially I live in Sunnyside, Queens, which is just off the 7 train, which goes right to the stadium. And my understanding is there was like there was a Grimace. I'm not sure if it was officially branded McDonald's thing or just someone showed up as Grimace. I know there was some overlap with like a Pride Night aspect,
Mm,
where because like it for a period of time it was like I believe it was like a gay Grimace type of thing because it was like they were good like the rest of June or whatever, and then like into July, and like that was the vibe. But I just know that there was something with Grimace being at a game and the Mets going on a tear from that game, basically the rest of the season, like the record from that point onward was like went psycho mode. And because of that, like everyone's embracing Grimace. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time in Queens right now because of Grimace just being everywhere. We're just trying to keep it going, baby.
yeah. It's kind of weird. The last time that Grimace was like all over the news, I feel like, was when the Grimace shakes came back at McDonald's, and everyone was doing those TikToks of like just convulsing after having a Grimace shake. And here we are, a couple years later, where Grimace is now like this inspiration basically for the Mets and like a good luck charm. It's crazy, full
You
circle.
never you never know how the arc of history is going to bend. You know, the arc of justice has a crazy arc to it. But here we are with Grimace being vindicated. Shout out to Dashboard Confessional.
Um, well, like I said before we got started, I think this is going to be a good time. Obviously, we right off the bat went straight down a Grimace tangent, and I'm here for it. I love it. Um, like I said, you are Desmond from the band Career Day. What do you do in Career Day before we get too far?
I sing and I write the lyrics.
And then I know we are missing a few more members. Who are they, and what do they do in Career Day? I want to give them a
Uh,
shout.
Jacob is our guitarist, Robbie is our bassist, and Ryan is our drummer.
Well, shout out to them. Obviously they're not here, and this is normally where I say this is where we pour one out in their honor. By pour one out, I just mean we have a drink in their honor since they're not here with us tonight.
Not dead, just not here.
Mm-hmm.
That'd
But
be a
yeah,
bummer.
yeah,
Hopefully, I don't get crazy texts right now.
that would really throw off a lot of chain events that are about to happen in this next month.
Yeah. Nope. Okay, we're good. We're
Okay,
good.
all right.
I just started watching Haunting of Hill House, and there's a lot of like things that go on where there's like connected events and things like of that nature. So we're good.
Okay,
We cleared that. We cleared
all right.
that.
Perfect. For people that might not be aware of Career Day, Career Day is like an emo punk band, like you said, from Queens. Started out around 2018 with the first EP, Nope, Sorry, followed up by your second EP, Pride was somewhere else in 2019, and then you put out a debut full length in 2022 called Where We'll Always Be, Where We've Always Been. Sorry.
All
Which
good.
solid tracks all throughout. Everyone listening, if you haven't checked those out, be sure to go listen to those.
Thank you.
I've listened to the LP quite a few times, and that's why I'm very happy that I get to sit down with you because Career Day's been one of those ones. I see on Twitter all the time, and I'm really stoked to finally have you on the show.
Our Twitter, man, our Twitter. It has gotten my mom to ask me questions about things and about myself as a person. Um, so I'm glad that it has some net positives out there. Occasionally I'll tie one on, not necessarily of the brew, more of the green variety, where
Mm.
I'll be like, whoa, okay, that was a lot to throw out at 2 a.m.
Those are always the best moments though, because like I feel like I'll sit there and I'll like tweet something just during the day, and it might get like a couple views, and then I decide to like get drunk or get high, and then I tweet something at like midnight, and then next thing I know, it's like the most like tweet I've ever had for no reason, and it's just the dumbest thing.
So yeah, after our recent EP release, like it was really nice. Got all sorts of nice messages, like people mentioning us, people I don't know, just like around the scene mentioning us, and but friends like personally texting me all sorts of stuff, and it was like really heartwarming. And like I tried to make like a like an Instagram like video story, and like I was just registering how crazy I look. Like it was like one of those things where there's just enough lucidity to be like, you look like a psychotic person right now. You cannot like post this. So I just like posted some like a brief, sincere, like, what a wonderful day. I tried posting a video, but I looked crazy. This is really heartwarming, all this other stuff. And then the next morning, I'm getting like notifications on that, like that story. And then I'm like it's my personal. And then I'm like, wait, what is this thing that people are liking? Because it's like clearly not a post. And it's like, because you're able to see like the little like thumbnail. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember posting that at all. So like I had to post like a little, wow, didn't remember I posted that set to like Marvin's Room, Drake, just like, are you drunk right now? But yeah, sometimes it is, sometimes it's a crutch, but other times it's a and there's a song that's about that on the EP that
Yeah,
sometimes it gets out what is always there anyway.
yeah. Which is just sometimes I'm just like maybe I should just drink more and be more of a comedian that way. And then I'm like, no, that's a slippery slope. We don't go down that
Yeah,
road.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Uh, but at the this EP that we're talking about at the time of recording is we're approaching the 2 week mark.
Hmm.
This came out the 27th of September, called "I'll Always Be This," and it's a solid EP for people that haven't checked it out. 4 banger songs. It's like the perfect length for an EP because you get done at like 12 minutes, and then you're like, oh shit, it's over already, and then you just want to like it's a good just repeat EP.
Awesome. I mean, thank you. Thank you. And that was by design because like ultimately to your point about the album, like I from a songwriting standpoint, I love the feeling of having more canvas to work with. Um, just as far as being able to explore and build connective themes and pull them in more directions, and being able to play with more like musical dynamics and play with the concept of like a side A and a side B, and having a playing out like sequencing of telling a story. You don't have as much of that with an EP, but it's very expensive to do an album. And so like we wanted to just be like, let's uh let's write the best small amount of songs that we can write in a small window of time at the end of last year and in 2023. And especially and we had like an extra condensed amount of time because I got married in May, and I
Oh,
wanted to like
congratulations.
set like thank you. I wanted to set like a 2-ish month barrier of nothing band related before, and about like a month or so after. And and so it's like, oh, okay, if we want to like, people found the album. Album came out August 2022, but honestly, it felt like people didn't maybe start hearing about us until spring of 2023. Blazed, shout out, love them, our brothers. They took us out for a couple dates, and I think that was the first time like any like people were finding out about us outside of our like immediate extended circle, or the people that had found us on Twitter before that point. And so it was like one of those things where there was kind of a slow burn, and as a result like our shows and going out happened later in the year, rather than like, oh, you just dropped something and now you do the weekenders and all that other stuff. um and we also had a lineup change, and so we were having different bassists fill in, so like we weren't getting to write for a while. We were getting to like there was this weird dynamic of us playing a lot of shows and like getting to like, ooh, okay, people do dig this. That's cool. That's nice. Like seeing both like people react at shows and people online. Like I hate the algorithm, but like seeing like the numbers go up, and like I mean, yeah, I mean, no problem getting to like 60,000 is like wild, like to me. Like and like I was just like, especially because like our social media game, it's not good, Like it's because it's just expressing ourselves, and
Right.
and there's no gimmick to it other than the message and the people behind it. Um, so it's one of those things where get it have catching this wind was nice, but we didn't get to write for a while, and there was this thing of like, oh shit, we want to write more. We can't feasibly write, like we can't feasibly record an album. Or we want to have music out sooner than it would take for us to either get funded for an album or like be able for ourselves raise for an album. Let's just write an EP. And to your point, this all comes back to like the 12 minutes, that aspect of like we wanted to leave more. Weirdly, it sounds weird, but like it's almost we want people to want more
Hmm.
out of it because we know that we're leaving more on the table, like from not from those songs, we developed them the most that we could, like, and that was the idea, to like flesh out like flesh out whatever amount of songs it ended up being, flesh them out to the fullest rather than, oh, let's try to make a 6 song EP or something like that. It was like, what can we build into bangers? And like, so I'm glad that you're feeling them that way.
Yeah, and like from obviously from a fan standpoint, yes, you guys could have came out with like six or more, done a whole nother LP or whatever. But now I'm just like, okay, we've listened to the LP, we get this EP. It's at this perfect moment where it's like, okay, is shit solid? Like I can't wait to see what they can do next, especially when you have more time to do what's
Yes.
next. Like
Yes.
now I'm just like,
Yes.
okay, like we're bridging the stone, and like it's at a nice point too, like you're saying, where you kind of shouted glazed again, like kind of got this momentum from rubbed off from them, and now you have all these people that are here waiting for you guys, and now it's just going to kind of build from here and kind of just keep growing and progressing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really excited about it. It's funny. I had a friend of mine that that came over, and like they were asking about the band, and they were like, we were talking about, um, we're watching this wrestling pay-per-view, and we're just like shooting the shit about our lives and whatnot. He's asking me about the band, and like he's asking how like writing is coming along, and I'm like, well, with the state of the world, and he was like, yeah, the songs are just kind of writing themselves at this point, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm just kind of just trying to see how I feel. I'm trying to like have how I feel fall out and then assemble it in ways that have rhymes somewhere in the meter, or at least a slant rhyme somewhere in the meter, um there. So like, I'm excited to write the next thing, but like right now, just because like it's new, that album came out in 2022. Um, our previous thing, so it's funny, like the Nope Sorry is it's an entirely different lineup except for me. We don't play those songs live at all. It's like functionally a demo of just like me trying to make some music with friends and like seeing if we could build something into it. And as an adult, it is not as easy as when you're like 17, 18, 19, and you have like someone's basement or bedroom to practice in the
Yeah.
suburbs. And like it was just, I had to put that aside for a bit. The Pride Was Somewhere Else was written in 2019, but it didn't come out until 2021 because it was like I'm gonna take my time writing songs with new people, all this other stuff. But we don't want to, okay, then we recorded it in like the fall of 2019. And then it was like, no, especially for like, this type of music, I feel like having the live element first to test things out and feel them is so crucial. Um, and it's like, let's wait. And sure enough, we had our first show set up, this new lineup, March, I think 28th of 2020.
Oof.
And I'm not sure if you heard about this situation that occurred, but that show was canceled. That show did
Ooh,
not happen.
crazy. Who would
And
have thought?
yeah, crazy. Yeah, I forget why. Logistics, I think.
Yeah.
But so there was like, and no problem, and if only from where we've always been, we had just like started writing them and honestly wrote them. Those are two songs where they were like kind of holy shit, eureka moments where like in the session where like Jacob first played the riff, we assembled like 90 to 99% of the song because we were just like I was like hearing the dynamics. Let's do a little bit less here, here, here. I hear pockets here. Let's other people being like, let's try this, and like we had them, and it was like, fuck, these songs are sick. Let's make sure that these songs just don't live as uh as iPhone voice memos. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
let's I believe in them, especially for like the lyrical, content of like no problem. If only as well, which like in context of it being about death and loss being rampant and not knowing how to deal with it. It being written before COVID is kind of like it only the song only fit better like
Yeah.
afterwards. But like, all this is to say with the EP, this is the soonest we've been able to, from point of writing to performing, getting to do that. So it's like it's also new for us to some extent. We're like practicing them isn't a challenge. Like, how the fuck are we going to do this? But it's like we're building the muscle memory of playing
Hmm.
them, and like we recorded them only 6 months ago, and now like they're all of them are in the set, and that's like a new thing, and it's fun, and it's exciting. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of just of kind of urgent energy to it that like I think mirrors the energy of the songs themselves, which is nice.
Dude, I gotta say, major props for not being deterred by your first show being canceled because of COVID and just taking that as like a sign of like maybe we shouldn't even do this. Like to overcome that and still like power through, be like, okay, what we have in our pockets is still sick, and to go and like to be at this point now compared to where you might have where your heads might have been in 2020, like that's a big hurdle for a lot of people.
Honestly, like I think that if we had played that show, if COVID doesn't happen and we play that show, like I don't think in retrospect we weren't ready. I wasn't ready. Like I was like juggling like three jobs. Like I just was never like I was never able to be present, which you always have to as a singer, you have to be present and light and loose, and I can never be those things because I was juggling three jobs every month was just like hurdle after hurdle after hurdle, and like if if we had played those shows, I think like I probably would have gotten discouraged. Maybe there's a decent chance maybe I would have gotten discouraged, and we played a couple more shows, and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna
Mm.
keep my job and just be a guy that like plays fantasy hockey and has a hockey podcast, like that's it. Like I think that would be like my like extracurriculars. My expressions would come out that way. But and I also think like those songs, like it really is like I feel really lucky and grateful that those songs happened because I like for me like no problem as like growing up I'm half Filipino growing up in like grew up on Long Island like having a song that doesn't exist like and knowing like I know there's a lot of people that feel this fucking way and no one said this exact thing this exact way. I need to do it. Like I need this, and I think this song sounds sick. Above all, like it sounds sick, and the message is sick. This can't not happen publicly.
Yeah.
And I was so motivated to make sure that those songs happened. I remember our former drummer Brian, still a friend of mine. We demoed we demoed them in his fucking apartment, and like it was gnarly. It was gnarly in context of what that album was. Like it only reaffirmed the writing of the album. I think we wrote a little bit more of the album during this demoing session of just those two songs because we demoed those songs the weekend of the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protests. So like literally between songs, between takes, like getting a breather, right on the the television right there is the entire world acknowledging the reality of society,
Right.
of like a of a discriminatory society, like actually acknowledging it collectively all at once globally. Like there was a lot there that like it's just crazy to think about timing wise how many things happened in ways that only encouraged us to be like, nah, like keep going with this because like man, this world's fucked up and there's more questions than there are answers, and sometimes shouting that feeling of recognizing that is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and getting those out there to the people, um, to take in and relate to, um, is like obviously I don't write songs or anything like that. Like so, from like a fan standpoint, finding songs that are on that same level as to what's going on in society, I feel like mean a lot more than listening to a band that's just talking about like high school problems all the time. Because like you're
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
moment with your things, and like that's what I like a lot about what a lot of the bands are doing right now, at least in the scene, is like you're talking about like points here and now with shit that's going on, whether it's these protests or life problems, but it's not just like referring to like the generic problems that like we listen to. Like if you listen to Blink or like Motion City, like it's
My
all
favorite
like
band. My favorite bands, dude. Yeah, exactly.
but like it's all like just old stuff that's like the same repetitive, whereas like at least the kids today are in the moment talking about like the issues, I feel like.
Well, I will say Motion City, to me, I do think they are a deeper cut into the issue, into those like issues. Like I remember like for me, Commit This to Memory is a uh top five would be an understatement. I think it's a top three record for me. Like as far as
Mm.
like I can listen to that every single day and love it. Like and because to me, like what I appreciate about that record, and it does factor into some of my songwriting, or a lot of songwriting, especially the melodies. But like for me, what I appreciated about Commit This to Memory and Motion City, and it made sense, talk about things meeting, Mark producing Commit This to Memory, is like to me, what I loved about Commit This to Memory was that it took like so many of those like essentially internal or interpersonal um dynamics, and it dug deeper into them. You know what I mean? Like it dug deeper into like, wait, why am I being such a fucking loser right now? Why am I being such a like, why is this relationship suck? Why am I that like all this shit? Like I thought it peeled back the onions a little bit more about like, why am I so anxious? Like why am I all these things? Like I thought Motion City was like taking the mask of what Blink 182 kind of is off, like at its core, off
Mm.
more. But I know what you're saying. I love. And wait, are you in Minnesota?
Yeah, I'm in Minneapolis.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I wanted so badly to get Minneapolis on this Midwest run that's coming up, but like, because I was like, we're gonna put Justin Pierre on the guest list. I'm gonna DM him, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least you tried. And also shout out to Ear Coffee. They were like the first one of the first publications to check us out. I think the first, again, the way things happen. Like that was the first like interview that we did after Pride Was Somewhere Else came out, and it was on January 6th, 2021.
Oh wow.
So it's like, it's just these things when you, again, the songs write themselves. The project like encourages itself in a way of just like, there's stuff to work with here, right? Like,
Yeah.
and but I wanted so badly to get Minnesota into the cut, also just for that, for how much like uh in general, like the Midwest emo, mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s emo is just like so much of my music is like it's like 40% like Blink, 40% that, and like 20% like Jackson Brown, like 15% like Jackson Brown, Jim Croce era, like 60s, 70s, like songs, like singer-songwriter stuff. And then
Yeah.
like 5% like just like audacious hip hop. Just like, just being able to just like throw it all out there.
I mean, you got to kind of do that because like I do the same where like my ratio is probably like I'd say 60% like emo to Midwest emo. There's probably like 30 to 35% like Hispanic music, whether it's like bandas or corridos. And then like yeah, I have like that 5 to 10% of just rap songs that no one else would really give a shit about, or like that I could just like zone out on my drives. It's always funny like pulling up to a corporate job, listening to like heavy rap for no reason, and then just getting out and just going inside and sitting down at my desk and doing my job.
Oh, pull it Microsoft Excel, typing circling back again, marking it high importance, send,
Yep.
yeah. And being stressed about it. It's being stressed about that email that you just sent. Yeah, no, it's no, but yeah, I mean, I wanted to get Minnesota, but it was like one of those things where like I worked at two different routings, and I was just like, for us to get there, it was going to take a day off, and like one of the big things that we weren't able to like get, if we were able to get a Wisconsin date, then I was like, we could possibly do, because we need a day off to get from like Indiana to Minnesota, like to
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota. We'd like need to give ourselves a day off. And it just like I was like, you know what? It's good to have things to fucking aspire to. Like it's good to have
Yeah.
like I want so badly, like, and I just today was my second to last day in the office, because I'm just like trying to I'm pursuing more flexible income to be able to push the band shit more. And like I definitely want to get to fucking Minnesota in 2025, just because like how much I've charitably borrowed from Motion City soundtrack and Justin Pierre melodies. Let's and lyricism. Let's just say. Um,
Well, I mean, Ear Coffee even considered you guys honorary Minnesotans, so there's that as well.
I think it's the depression. I think it's the depression and the joy of sitting and staring into the abyss and
Yeah.
watching hockey, and then sometimes your gaze moves from the television just to the blank space of wall above it, and just like thinking about like what is this? How much more is left? What's going on? Is
Yeah,
this
I
over?
usually I usually have that moment in the middle of like winter when it's just in the middle of a snowstorm. I just look out the back window of my house and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life, man? Like, what's going
Dude,
on?
I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. I'm so excited to be in the Midwest for a week and a half in November, in the middle of November, because it's going to be every single time we're outside of the van or Ryan's car. If we get the gear split between us and Water Me Down, right, we'll both be able to take cars. And like the second we're out of that, it's just going to be like, whoa, people live in this. It's the oh shit, you live like this meme,
Uh,
and
thankfully,
it's just wearing seven layers.
November's not too bad. It's where it gets bad is like mid January because that's the moments where like it'll hit like -30 for no reason.
Okay, yeah, I mean that the fact that you're referring to that as like that your threshold of what bad is crazy, because my wife and I went to Chicago in the middle of November 3 years ago, and it was one of the, so it's roughly the same time that we're going to be touring. I think like literally like the dates of that are fall within the dates of us touring through. I think the date that we're going to be in Chicago falls within that range, and it was fucking bitter. We were just like, oh fuck, oh, like the last day of us being there, we wanted to like do a lot of stuff, but it was like we got to do a decent amount of stuff the first couple days, and then that day was like so fucking cold that like after we went to the Chicago diner for like the second or third time, we were like, oh, we got to get the fuck back to the shoebox of the hotel that we're staying in, because this is fucking impossible. We our 4 layers like are not cutting it. Like so the
Yeah.
fact that you're from the -30 as your threshold is like psychotic to me.
just be ready for the amount of times that you're gonna hear, "Oh, it's not so bad if it wasn't for the wind." Uh, that's literally what
Yeah.
everyone says. They're like, "Oh, it's cold out, but it could be worse." Like it, no, like how's it? It wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the wind. The wind is like what
Yeah.
fucks everything. But yeah, like
Yeah.
we go out in like single layers. Granted, it's just to the car, quick drive to work, get back inside. But like, yeah, we make them. We
I
breed them
understand
differently.
beer. I understand the affinity for beer.
Yeah.
When I see the cold that you have to deal with, like I don't think it. I feel like it doesn't count as drinking until maybe you've met your fourth drink. Like I feel like at that before that, it's just like medical insulation. You know what I mean? Like I think it's like what's it like the old Looney Tunes things where like the dog would like come with like the Saint Bernard would have like
Oh,
the
like the
yeah
jug of yeah
yeah the jug of
of like
like
moonshine or whatever.
yeah moonshine that was like to like cure you of your injury or something. Like I feel like if you live in the Midwest, I think it doesn't count until like once you surpass 24, 48. Once you're past 72 ounces, it's like, okay, now it counts.
Yeah,
You've used them up. You've used up the ounces. You
I'll
that's a
have to
six
let
and
you
that's
know.
a six pack. That's a six pack,
Yeah,
right? I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'll have to let you know how it goes this winter. How many ounces I get into before I start to feel anything, or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Nice, nice, nice.
But yeah, hopefully in 2025 we get to see Career Day here in Minneapolis. I know, like you were talking about, before we get into this EP, like one, it's like the one downfall I think of Minneapolis is that we're like slightly just far enough where it's sometimes inconvenient for bands to come through. But if bands are able to do it, like people, this is a great town. People will show up, but like because we're 6 hours from Chicago, so to take that drive, and even coming from like Indiana, like you were saying, you almost do need a full day to kind of get here. But
Yeah.
once you get here, people will be ready for you.
We would have, yeah, like I mean, like literally, if we were able to lock down the Wisconsin date, and like it was one of those things where like all the places we hit up had that date like booked already, and it was like fuck, okay, it's not gonna happen. We'll get them next time, and it's like, but what's nice is like the feeling that like that feels less like a nice pipe dream hypothetical and more like just a logistical figuring out right now, and I feel so grateful to be able to do that. Like, dude, like when I meet you in person at a show, it's gonna be so fucking fun and nice to talk about me referencing when I meet you in person at the show that I'm meeting you at. Um, like to me, I feel really grateful for that. And yeah, again, shout out Ear Coffee. Being called an honorary Minnesotan is nice because I feel like I do check several of the boxes, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hockey's like the biggest one, and you got that covered because you even got a hockey podcast, so that's like more than most people. So
It's
already,
amazing.
and you're drinking craft
Yeah.
beer, like that's another step. So like,
It's another step. You love sitting, banger right there.
yep,
Midwest emo, boom right there.
yep.
Curious, does the Get Up Kids are from they're from Kansas, or are they from Kansas or Kansas City? I forget.
That I don't
Let me
know.
look it up. Let me look it up. Very very professional here. Let me typing the Get Up Kids. The Get Up Kids are from Wikipedia. They're from Kansas City, which is Missouri, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Get Up Kids are such a huge. The Get Up Kids were the first. They were the first show I ever went to. The first
Oh,
concert, first music I ever went to was Blink. I was in elementary school. Blink, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket tour,
nice.
and in on Long Island and Newfound Glory the openers were Body Jar, which is not the same. I believe was on Tony Hawk 2 or 3, um, and Newfound Glory touring off of the self-titled record. So like it was a banger first thing. The first like show, it's a live event. Like, there's no seats or anything. I went to Webster Hall. for what was like the Get Up Kids like farewell tour in like when I was in
Mm.
high school in like 2005. So like the Get Up Kid or four. Oh shit, that was four, maybe five. Doesn't matter. It was a banger. Um, and yeah, I mean, so being granted honorary Minnesotan status is something I very much appreciate.
Well, like I said, shout out to Your Coffee. Those dudes are killing it. I know they just celebrated, I think, 7 years recently. And funny enough, I've met them a couple different times, and like the funny enough, they live pretty much almost right down the street from me. So
That's
much love to
beautiful.
them. Yeah. But now, we kind of worked our way around this whole EP, talking about just everything going on in life. But like I mentioned, your latest EP, "I'll Always Be This," has been out for about 2 weeks now. It's four solid jams. Everyone started off with the single of "Rumors of My Wellness," which is, I think, a good reflection on a lot of people in their lives right now, of like trying to figure out like what to do, or if you're doing like the right thing, and trying to figure that out. Obviously, there's a great music video to go along with it, which I do want to talk about here in a little bit. You had to
Awesome.
see that coming. But you're talking about these real life problems that, like we kind of talked about earlier, that people are going through. That I think that's one thing that's really relatable. And then you're just doing it over these catchy riffs that kind of mask some of the deepness or darkness, I guess, depending on how you want to put it. But these are four solid tracks through and through. Uh, Obviously, we kind of talked about life being and the way things are going in life being a good conductor for how these are going. Do you feel like, how do I want to word this? I mean, you also just mentioned like you are going to be doing a more flexible schedule, and obviously we have Rumors of My Wellness, which is kind of just trying to figure out the right path in life. It's kind of going hand in hand with where you're at in life right now. Like, I don't know, trying to think of where I wanted to go with that. I just said a lot, and now I can't form the question to go
Find
with
it.
it.
This happens on my hockey podcast all the time. So like there are times where I'm like I shouldn't have hit the pen or I shouldn't have had that edible right before because and like when I listened back to it, I was like, holy shit, man, you just like stopped. You just like stopped halfway through. So feel free to find it if let your brain cook. I'm vamping right now. Feel free to let yourself dissociate. I'll talk about my hockey podcast for a bit while you like try to find it. Through the Island podcast. If you care about the Islanders, which you probably don't, most of the world does not. Most of even the hockey fans don't. Check it out because we don't care about the podcast. That's kind of the gist of it. We're failing upwards. It's me and another guy that also is in a band do it, and it's we just had the Islanders' main beat writer of the past decade on our podcast just because he likes the pod and he likes our bands. Um, but yeah, check it out if you're ever like, what the fuck is going on with the Islanders? Check it out because we're the adult we're the Eric Andre of Islander podcasts, which is about as niche as it can get.
I feel like that's a great person to be for an entity, being the
Yeah,
Eric
yeah,
Andre
yeah.
of that organization. Um, I still don't have the thought, but we're gonna go into this EP anyways, because like some of the things that you say in this, and see if I can pull this up without just destroying my ears real quick as I try and
Did
pull
I
up the
send did I
lyrics.
send are you trying to did I send you the lyrics?
You did. I also have it pulled up on
Okay,
Spotify and everything like that. But I mean,
wonderful.
like you talk about like ditching booze for 3 months, kind of at the beginning, and like kind of just doing this detox of like, which I feel like is something that a lot of people have been trying to do, or like try and do. Whether you do a sober October to kind of reset yourself and trying to figure out like maybe this isn't working, trying to do something else. But just the way you put it, of you did that and you still found out, oh, like that wasn't the chemical that was wrong. Like there's still this other poison out there that's kind of screwing
Yeah.
up my life. Um, like did you ever figure out, quote unquote, like what the poison was, or like what was wrong in life to kind of that you needed to change?
I mean, yes and no, because it's like I guess I figured out, but there's no solution for uh I would say maybe lowercase. The best way for me to put it is like lowercase d depression, in the sense of like life is fucked. Like the human condition is fucked up, especially in a capitalistic world,
Hmm.
where there's so much that goes wrong. You know you have so many. Uh, there are so many people in your life that you care about and that care about you, and each of you individually are living lives where you're trying to just fucking get through. And sometimes you make the wrong fucking decisions, and sometimes you fall into a bad fucking spot, and sometimes that fucks up, a familial relationship or a friendship or a relationship or something. And for me, it's a it's ultimately that's a song that's it's a lot for a pop punk emo song, but it's like the human condition of like there's always going to be a fatal flaw, like so to speak. So like don't don't let yourself it's about owning the disillusionment that you feel that any one thing is a panacea, that it fixes everything, because it's not. Everything. It's hard to figure out what the disease is. It just seems like
Hmm.
it's a bunch of symptoms that are a network of just being alive. And so for me, like I've made peace. Like I guess clearly as it pertains to drinking, for me, like drinking wasn't the issue. So like I was able to rediscover my relationship with alcohol. I've said this a couple of times, but like I was never a heavy drinker at all. But for me, like the utility of drinking was like calmed down. Like because I've never had like more than when I'd have three, I'd have a headache the next day. So like I'd have two, and like all right, I'm relaxed. I'm whatever. I've been able to just like uh push down enough stuff where like watching wrestling tonight or watching like I think you should leave or something until it's time to go to bed. We got there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And reaching the loss of that utility was like, all right, let me take that out and see how that works. And I did feel better, but it was like, and then like like again, it was like within 3 months I was having the same like panic attacks that I was having before that made me like stop drinking, because like I started having them when I was like, oh fuck, this isn't working. I now just feel what drinking feels like if you're just thinking about it from a nutritional body feel, which sucks. And yeah, so for me, yeah, I did find it, so to speak, and I just think that, you know, finding it and solving it are not the same thing, and I think solving it is the act of committing to accepting the work that is a life. To try to the narrowest way I can condense the densest concept is that like it's just the acceptance of like no one thing is gonna fix it all
Yeah.
ever. But it didn't make it wrong to do so. But I think pretending, I think it's easier to move forward not pretending like, oh man, this sucks.
Yeah. It's I totally understand what you're saying. I've also been one to kind of use kind of like we talked about earlier, using alcohol as like this crutch. Not necessarily if that's where this whole episode's going to go, because that would really deface my whole
Dark.
podcast. But like I've been there, and like that's the tough thing is those moments where you kind of have to just kind of think about it and like re go back on stuff, or just try and figure out what the next move is. But then also to get to that point of being like, oh, that was a maybe a smaller crutch than I really thought it was, and I was just everything else that's going on is kind of like fucking it up too.
Yeah,
So
I mean, there's a lyric in there. There's a lyric in the second verse that says, Regained consciousness through Aches Revisited, and that was about during that period of not drinking, there were a lot of like suppressed memories and suppressed feelings that like came about that was like, oh fuck, have I did what like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, did I start like trying to not think about that thing
Mm.
through this, and now I'm thinking about it for the first time, and it's waving, it's actually like seeding in me, and fuck, that bothers me a lot, like, and it's like that is one of the things of like, again, it is like I mentioned it somewhere else, but like I've mentioned it everywhere. To me, it's like, well, the reason we called it rumors of my wellness, something that we talked about before. We almost made this the Fallout Boy, shout out the Midwest style, super long song title, that would still be derived from the lyrics, but like we were just like, come on, man. You're not Fall Out Boy's able to do that like when they're like making From Under Cork. They're following up Take This to Your Grave. You can kind of fuck around,
Yeah.
on the song titles a bit. I don't think Where We've Always Been, I'm proud of the record. I don't think that people are gonna hold those in the same regard, if I'm being honest with myself. Um, but yeah, like wellness is just like for me, especially and you fucking see it on social media all the time. Wellness influencers, and like you see it on LinkedIn, talking about just doing this, it'll be so blah blah blah. And it's just like, no, man, everything is just buying you more time before you try to figure out what you have to do next.
Yeah.
And like the sooner you own that, the better. And the sooner you find the thing that's the livable things that are that for you, the better.
Just because we, I think we almost scraped the surface on it. What would have been like the long Fall Out Boy style title for Rumors to My Wellness if you didn't go with what you did?
I think it might have been it might have been rumors of my wellness parentheses sadly are exaggerated. That was one of the ones I was played around with for a while. Uh, Another one was like running out parentheses of things to quit. So they all were derived from the song. They weren't like a non sequitur, but like they're we and then we are playing with like, don't bring the parentheses into it, like it was just like it feels like it's not safe enough. We haven't gained enough clout for the parentheses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To rock a parentheses in the song title, that's a ballsy move, and I'd rather like just express exude either a key, a tying lyric or emotionality from a song title that can make someone go, let me check that out, and rather than do something that I think still fits, but I'm also doing it in part because I think it's funny to do.
Yeah. Well, maybe the next release we'll see some parentheses on it. Who knows?
Honestly, an album, there's a 50% chance that at least or at most that we're gonna have a parentheses in a song title in LP2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, actually,
And
it's funny. There is actually like some of the songs we've been writing so far. There is like a little bit of a parentheses situation with one of them that I could foresee. It's still not a non sequitur one, but it's there.
and then I kind of mentioned already there is a music video along with Rumors of My Wellness
Yep, yep.
that is out that came out. When the single dropped. We kind of see obviously kind of hinting back to the lyrics, but we kind of see you wake up in this nice big pile of beer cans, which I was very impressed with the amount of cans that were there and the variety of cans that were there.
Ooh,
Uh,
oof.
I mean, I'm impressed in the way that like if that was shot here in the Midwest and a band did that, it would literally be all Bush Light or all hams. There's like no mixing of
Okay,
stuff.
okay, yeah. There was a
So
lot of
like
different cans there.
yeah, uh, so it was better than just like just one brand. You kind of knocked it out of the park in that aspect. But we see you kind of go through this journey of different uh, positions in life, job wise. Like we see you kind of being a stockbroker, construction guy. Um, One that I'm not sure of, which is the
The Deutsche Bank,
crazy
the Deutsche
the
Bank,
Deutsche
bro.
Bank. Yeah, the Deutsche Bank,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm hoping we get sued. I'm still hoping that we can get sued and I can try to leverage that into PR. Like, because we're not paying for PR on this cycle. It costs too much to be a band that's trying to do things, ironically, to then be able to get PR. You have to choose one of those, like
Right.
which kind of sucks. But I figured if Deutsche Bank could send us a cease and desist, I could leverage that into something strong. But yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
Am I missing one? Because I feel like I am.
Well, there's the
Stockbroker,
Matrix.
Deutsche Bank.
There's
Oh,
like the
the Matrix
cyberpunk, the
guy.
Matrix guy.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I loved
Uh,
the just the slow mo dodging of the bullet acting job that you did as well. Um,
Acting.
it, it's a great music video, and like one thing you kind of do in it, and I loved your tweet of like the faces were inspired by Jim Carrey and like the many faces that he would do
I'm
throughout
a
his
big
career.
I'm a big Carrey head, man. Jim Carrey to me is like I love his acting. I understand people finding his like new age stuff to be pretentious, and I don't co-sign I don't co-sign anybody's everything. But like, I know there's some like vaguely anti-vax stuff about him. But Jim Carrey, yeah, Jim Carrey to me, I appreciate um how much he seemingly gives 100%, 150% to the thing that he's trying to project.
Yeah. Yeah, he does a killer job. So when I remember when I saw your tweet about that, I was like, okay, like that's a cool, like you don't see a lot of people uh do that or like try and pull from like what he's doing or what he has done in his career. So it was nice to see that because like we're probably around the same age. We grew up with Ace Ventura, all
Woo,
his basically his
did not
classics.
age great, did not age too well.
But just the comedy icon that he kind of is, where
Dumb
he's
and
not
Dumber,
just
man.
using.
Dumb and Dumber, I have a vivid memory of like that being one of the movies, like finding out like what taboo was, be like from my
Mm.
relatives trying to like shield me from the curse words in it. Yeah. Sorry.
But no, you're fine. But just like how you were saying, where he's not just like where most people just kind of stop at like the body. He takes it to his whole face and takes it to that whole nother level. I do also love that. Oh, I had it up and I probably lost it, but someone did a quoted a very nice comparison on it's on the YouTube. I have it up right
Oh, I know.
here.
I know. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So
It's
excited this is about to be pulled up.
someone commented saying like a mix of Steve Buscemi and William Defoe, which I can totally see in some of those shots where I also can feel like a small like at least William Defoe, Green Goblin type of vibes. Like how
Great.
does that feel that you're also getting compared to them when you weren't even
Well,
trying?
let me tell you, seeing someone compare me to Willem Dafoe feels crazy. And especially, and then also Steve Buscemi, and I have to go, wait, what the fuck's happening here? This is just like, this means that my face is doing a lot. And it's like, okay, Willem Dafoe has like a crazy vibe, and like Steve Buscemi has like a downtrodden, vibe to his face. And it's like, what is this stranger just commented to the public about what my face looks like? It's a lot to kind of process, but I appreciate it because Willem Dafoe, especially Green Goblin, that's another great character. It's another great reference right now to bring back hockey. My Islanders, and I'm gonna have it on our Midwest run. My '90s Islanders fisherman logo jacket, starter jacket that I'm gonna be bringing out has been speaking to me like the Green Goblin mask. And tomorrow night is the season opener and I'm going to be smoking weed at the outdoor area, the Heineken terrace that they used to say you can't smoke in, and then everybody smoked, and they realized they can't govern it when everybody smokes. So um, yeah, the Green Goblin. I appreciate that comp. Steve Buscemi, his face charitably not the best, not the most attractive, perhaps. So I feel like, but Willem Dafoe is known for having a significant dong situation. So like it's one of those things where when you level out, you take what you can get and keep it moving.
That's fair. I'd never heard about the this dong
Uh,
situation, but
Well,
you
just
know,
if if you Google something, man, you'll hear stories about like him doing nude scenes and then being like, "What the fuck's going on here?" type shit. It's like you respect, you know. And also, the Green Goblin was a great performance by him, and in the No Way Home version of Green Goblin was fucking awesome.
it truly was. Hopefully, obviously we won't get to see him back, but it was nice to see that role reprised. One thing I did want to point out too, and I don't know if this is intentional or just the style that you guys are kind of going now with your cover arts.
Hmm.
After Nope, Sorry, we kind of see like this one sort of like uh, style throughout the three cover arts so far.
Hmm.
Is there some sort of tie-in between the three album arts, or am I just reaching here at this point?
No, no. Well, I mean, the tie-in is it's the same artist. His name's Dan Buxa. He's fucking awesome. He's a comic book artist. He is fucking great. And like I know him from like growing up in like the Long Island music scene, and yeah, he's awesome, and like he is just been so great at me like pitching like set I send him the release, I send him the lyrics, and if I have an idea, I express it to him. And for both Pride Was Somewhere Else and Where We've Always Been, I had general kind of like visions for like what they would be, not too specific. I mean, he crushed the specifics in ways better than I ever could have envisioned. Um, and then he did I'll Always Be This. And what was kind of nice was it was like it was harder for us to kind of pinpoint where to go with it. But I actually think it came out pretty fucking sick. I think I'm so hyped on the thing. It's like it's the continuity is for each art is allowed to stand on its own. Like it doesn't need to have a figure in it. It's one of those things where like if we have an idea that doesn't have like this like person figure in it that like may or may not be the same person. Um, like the only one that I was like had a concerted like I want the person to look like this was Where We've Always Been, because like I wanted to make sure that the figure had like more my skin tone that was like representing more of like uh, a non-white like representation on an album cover in the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but yeah, the artist is the same, and it's always about us trying to pinpoint the two tie-ins, I guess, like from a basic level, are beyond the artists themselves. It's like uh the actually maybe it's only one, which is like uh one and a half, I guess, like the figure having a person there to kind of like be a stand-in for like you reflect on the totality of the picture uh via the fact of like there's a person there, so you try to put yourself in what that environment is, right? um but the other one is like track, with the not depth, because we do have CDs and tapes coming out for the EP, but like the way physical media is not so much of a not just a thing, but there's less of a market. There's less of an interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
That like if this is the one image that you're projecting, to the best extent, can you project the track listing? Like, can you project aspects of songs in this art? And like for the album, we have it actually on the back cover, which only exists on the CD. But like, and it's just the singles that we had like different stand-ins for that are the single art in the singles art in Spotify. Um, but for the EP, it's like the single song stand-ins are the different pieces that are on the wall around that image. So like there's I guess there's like there's stylistic tie-in to it to like, and it's one of those things where it's like each thing we treat as its own. We're not like, oh, we did this here, we need to do this here.
Hmm.
But it is the type of thing where for people that have been along for the ride or that do dig back and go through, they get a feeling of kind of storytelling and story building. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it. Was like it's like because I looked at all three the cover arts trying to feel see if there was like a tie-in. Obviously, I saw you know supposed Easter eggs, especially like we're talking about with this new EP to the songs in like the image. But then we just see kind of like the one gentleman figure just kind of going through each cover art, so it's more just like a journey through that guy's life from like an
Hmm.
outside perspective.
Yeah.
But with the person that's putting together like being the same person for all three, it just looks a lot more cohesive, and it does kind of feel like that like we're along for the journey of like what this person's going through or what this person might be listening to as like I think for the LP where they're walking home and with they got the grocery bags that say career day, which I love that little touch. And all, like
Yes.
I love all that little stuff that app like ends up in like cover arts and stuff. Um, and like just watching them walk home and I'm like, okay, maybe they're listening to this LP and like that's what they're experiencing right now.
No, that I mean that's nice. Like, I'm not sure how related this is per se, but like it makes me feel good to talk about it. Like, I had a really emotional moment when we dropped the album, because it was the first album I ever put out, and I remember so much of myself is was found and uh built when I was a teenager, listening to music in my headphones and walking my dogs, my childhood dogs that were alive for a real long time, Bart and Lisa. And like, there was a moment where like listening to the album, seeing people react to it, even at that point it was just friends, but like I was able to feel myself almost like feel myself almost as a kid, like hearing the album and walking my dogs, and like I was like just like right in those shoes, I was right in that same, like, the 4 block walk that we would do like 4 times a day. And like I felt so like, I don't know, it felt like it felt like it completed me personally in a way that like I was really uh really grateful for. And um and uh so yeah, I mean it's one of those things where then having the art, this like, this figure that like, and it's never guaranteed that it's not the blink, the alphabet theory with the blink covers, right? You know what I mean, where it's like fly swatter is A, and Buddha has B, C Cheshire Cat, and then D Dude Ranch, and then Enema the State, and then are you familiar with this theory?
This no, this is the first time I've heard of it. I'm not
Okay,
as like I'm not a big Blink listener, but this is a cool theory that I've never heard of.
I'll message you. There's a theory that Blink has had the alphabet built into their discography throughout each release, and
Okay.
um, and um, but yeah. Anyway, it is the use of cover art to kind of continue to extend the message of what you're trying to project. is super huge for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved the little Easter eggs and everything, and just the tie-ins, whether they were, conceived by me or not. It's because a lot of it's up to rotation too, to like people that are listening. So it's cool that they're all kind of at least somewhat connected by the one person in each cover art, going through their lives. Um, I got a couple more points before I want to transition here. Uh, I saw a couple tweets that you're working on, an acoustic version of this EP. Obviously, this EP is uh, bangers on bangers, and I'm ready for. I'm excited to see what the acoustic version would be like, because I think you put it nicely in one of your tweets of like, people don't realize how sad these songs can actually be. And obviously, when it comes through in an acoustic version, it's going to be a whole nother level. At this point in time, like where are we at on that uh, spectrum of getting that acoustic EP?
So I would say it's still in the early stages. It's my vocal coach B, she's great, and she's been helping me with it just because like going from what like these songs sound like full band to like what they sound like acoustic is such a it's so disparate. It's crazy. It's crazy when it sounds like to like, and we filmed a couple of clips of acoustic tracks just for videos for content. Uh but like um and it's like wild how much different like how I feel when I hear like rumors of my wellness, like electric through an amp, knowing the bass is gonna like do the thing and the drum's gonna kick in and the riff is gonna like go to this place, to like it's just me thinking about like this one guitar line and like the things that I have to sing. You know what I mean? And I would say that it's going to be easier for us to come through. My hope, and I'm not going to give any sort of timeline on it, but my expectation, especially with having a more flexible schedule, like is that in the winter, because we're touring down to Fest
Yep.
a week from today. Whenever this comes out, we're touring in the Midwest in November, and then like so that's going to be a lot of shows in a lot of days, and I'm going to have a lot of work that I'm probably going to have to make up, like gig wise, like for
Yep.
probably 3 weeks to make up for those 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And but my goal, I would love to be able to have at least a song. If we could have a song before the spring, like that we can release, I'd love that just for the sake of like having another thing out, showing us in a different light. Because like for me, obviously a lot of like Blank, Motion City, Newfound Glory, older stuff like Braid and Promise Ring and Sunny Day Real Estate is all like my shit. Taking Back Sunday, obviously with the Long Island influence. Um, like all that is my shit, but also like Death Cab for Cutie is like a band that like changed how I like listen to music and like what like how much time I gave for music. So like
Mhm.
being able to try to like find our way to like uh title and registration fi last thread, would be like sick.
Yeah. That'll be amazing. I'm obviously no timeline needed. There's a lot of things coming up for you guys, which I'm super happy about. When I will talk about one thing here real quick before we fully take off. But dropping an acoustic EP in the winter time, I think is the almost the best move to do, because it's gonna be hit that much more in that time frame of where we're at. Um, but yeah, like I said, I'm very stoked for it. I'm also very stoked just to see where Career Day goes from here after this EP. Like I said that before, and I truly do mean that. Like, you guys are killing it with this EP, and you
Thank you
guys
so
are
much, man. Really, thank you.
You guys, you're gonna have all this momentum, especially like you're getting to do all these big like first things. Especially like the biggest one we've kind of already talked about, going to Fest or playing Fest this year for the first time. Like how does that feel to be able to verbally say that you get to play Fest this year?
I want to be there. Also, like best of luck to everybody in Florida. Man, it's like climate change is so fucked, man, that the
Yeah,
storm that's about to hit there. Like so there is honestly this weird feeling of like, man, I can't wait to do this tour. And it's like, wait a second, like so many like when trying to like work out like backlines for some of these gigs, and it's like I'm having to like, oh wait, I shouldn't follow up quite yet because like oh, they're dealing with a lot right now. Like, let me not, this doesn't matter that much to
yeah,
like talk to them about. But like, Fest, that was a thing. The way like okay, so the way the songs, the way like No Problem and If Only were like songs where it's like the meaning of these songs and how good they sound to us and how good they feel to us feels like they justify us moving forward. Like the concept of tied to that was like, and imagine if we got to, we believe in these because imagine we got to play Fest. Like that was literally like an idea of like, how cool would it be if we got to do that? And like, to me, yeah, I feel, I feel really great. It's also going to be my first time at Fest, so I'm
oh yeah,
excited for that. But it's just like to me, it when especially when I consider like functionally speaking, the band didn't feel like it publicly existed until we dropped the album because we hadn't played shows, we hadn't done anything. We played like three shows before then, like of this song era, like months before. But like to me, yeah, I just kind of have this just gratitude towards the fact that we're getting to do it and like so you have friends that are from the area that are going down, but you have friends that either moved away or people that like are friends that are a couple states away that maybe you met at a show one time, blah blah blah, that have hit me up, or I don't know that have hit me up and are like, can't wait to see you at Fest, and it's like, fuck, man, that's crazy. That's crazy, and that's everything because to me it's like, okay, what we do resonates with you, and that's everything because for me, like it's for me, I'm satisfied by just putting out the music because to me it's like, oh, I got to express that thing, right? But someone else receiving it and it finding it resonant to me is just like, I'm glad I did this type thing.
yeah. I'm so happy for you. There's I always say that I'm envious of any band that gets to press something to vinyl, but I'm also envious of any band that envious in a good way, obviously, of
Hmm.
getting to go play Fest. Fest is also one spot that I've never been to yet. I have a lot of homies that get to play Fest every year, it seems like, and I feel like since doing this podcast, more and more people that I've met that I've become friends with are getting to play, and it's nice to see all of them get to be on that lineup and share that stage and kind of keep going down to those. So, hopefully Fest goes well. Obviously, you get to see the dudes in Glazed. Shout out Glazed. And countless other homies that are on their trek down there as well.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great, and I just feel it feels good. And again, it's another thing of just like encouragement, man. It's like, okay, cool. We must be doing something right. You need that as much as you like. You love doing this to do it, man. It's nice having that external validation. Like you
Yeah,
can't deny very human like feeling of like, oh, okay, cool, cool. I'm not just like I'm not having well at least in this I'm not having a complete 125% delusion um of like of grandeur. It's nice. It's
yeah,
good.
yeah. This is a good validation, as well as everyone that's given you props so far on this album. I know you've been talking to a lot of people. I know a lot of people have been tuning into this album in general and seeing like not just the posts that you've made, but going through Twitter and seeing all the post that like other mutuals have made, expressing their love for this EP. Is they're right in every aspect. Like this is a solid EP, and you guys are killing it.
No, man. I mean, thank you. And it's like literally like a lot. I tweeted like so the lyrics for like last thread. Like a lot of these songs, the lyrics were written in like very like just the kind of uh, like obsessive feeling, like giving myself to like these feelings of like, ooh, this song feels like it's an opportunity for me to talk about this and just like staying up until like 2:30. The amount of times I was like on the couch until like 2:30, 3 a.m. like writing lyrics to these songs from like playing back like 10 playing back like iPhone voice memos at like 10-second clips of just being like, I think the cadence works best this way. I think, okay, if I say this, but like the fact that there are people that have been so, and I don't want to make it like it's all the lyrics or vocals because like musically, like the dynamics on this, like I love that this EP like is feels like to me it's like a love letter. Each song is a different type of love letter to different types of like pop punk, emo, etc. type of music, where it's like intro track, team player, pop punk. You have the counter melodies at the end. You have like all that. You have the punk beat second
Yeah.
verse, and the second song, the rumors of my wellness is such a Motion City style, like this is a catchy song, it's clearly a single, and wait a second, these are fucking really dark lyrics that you're singing about here. uh Last Thread is like the braid, like transity type of like riffy, moody, like emo, riffy, moody, riffy emo, and then fucking One Bad Day is just the like exhaustive, the used type, like Taking Back Sunday, just like type of fucking shit.
Like I mean, like I said earlier, it's literally got something for everyone. It's a solid EP. If anyone's looking for, obviously you said you'll have tapes and CDs soon, but if anyone's looking for merch, music, or a career day in general, where can they
Mm-hmm.
find it?
at at Career Day NY. We are on all the things. Please tell people about us. Again, like I said, our brand is ourselves, which is the worst thing. If I was younger, maybe I could figure out a thing, or I'd feel less of a way about like, "Ooh, let me follow this TikTok thing where I make the face that you make at this time, and you make use this sound thing." But unfortunately, I'm a grown ass man and I don't have time for that. So spreading the word, follow, shooting us if you're listening still. Please shoot us, follow, and like tell a friend. To me, again, resonance is everything. So it's like if you hear this and you listen to us and you like it, follow us. Thank you. But to me, it's also like send it to a friend. Like send it to a friend that you think hasn't heard us, just because like I feel like just from my own experience from like listening to something, like there's a band from New York called Semaphore that played with another friend of mine's band Dweller, and I never heard Semaphore before, and I went to the show, and just like it was one of those moments when you see a band and you're like, oh wow, I like shit, fuck, that's like this really hits me. It's like shit, kind of like emo-y, shoegazy type of thing. More the emo-y side of shoegaze, and it was just like, wow, this really hits. The lyrics hit, the cadences hit, and it's just like cool. So like if you can, if you have a friend that you think this might be for that, please spread the word. Yeah, but yeah, at Career Day NY is where all our stuff will be. We're trying to be everywhere in 2025, especially Minnesota. Uh, my God, I really, I just have to like joke. I have to put Justin Pierre on an actual guest list that exists. It doesn't matter if he comes. It just needs to be like geographically plausible, and I'll feel like so made as a human being. I'll feel so whole as a human being.
Well, hopefully we get to experience that together. Everyone that's listening, depending on where you found this episode, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Threads, or you watch the YouTube version, got to see Desmond's lovely face like I did tonight. Make sure you check the hyperlinks down below. Follow Career Day on all the socials. Be ready for new music, new shows, new tours, merch, and stay up to date with all things Career Day. Dude, Desmond, one last big thank you to you for taking the time out of your Wednesday to sit down with me.
No,
Uh,
man, this was a pleasure. This is I can't wait to talk to you on LP2 about the time that I was talking to you about this conversation as
Dude,
well.
hell yeah. I can't wait. Everyone go listen to Career Day. Go listen to I'll Always Be This. And I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya.
Absolutely. Thank you.